Good night of Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Bechukosai. We're living in uncertain times, and one thing that we know is that we don't know. And we look around at events going on, things that we thought we can project how things are going to go, and we realize we have no idea. I want to share with you a crucial concept that comes out of Parshas Bechukosai. We know in Parshas Bechukosai, we have the Chochma, where Hashem tells us, listen, if you don't follow my rules, this is going to be the consequence. At the end of the Chochma, the Pasuk says, V'af gam zois, v'yosim be'eretz oivayim, when you're in the enemy's land, loy ma'astin, zolz du wissen, you should know that I am not loathed of you, I am not disgusted by you, v'loy ga'altim l'chaloisim, and I am not going to purge you to destroy you. To destroy them. The Pasuk is talking in third person. Lahafer brisi itam, to annul the covenant that we have together. So the Pasuk is saying, even though you're far away in the diaspora, but you are not loathed and you are not going to be purged to be destroyed. What does that mean? Says the Meshech in an almost prophetic manner the following observation. He starts off by saying, this is Parak Chavav, Pasuk Memdal. The concept is as follows. Let's contemplate a little bit about how Hashem runs the world. And a little bit what we can understand. Obviously, we have the humility to realize we can't understand really, but a little bit we can understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wisdom, which is infinite and beyond us, decreed that we wander in lands that are not ours for many, many years, until the divine goal has been actualized and we go back to Eretz Yisrael. So Hashem has different ways of making sure we don't become assimilated by the other nations. And he goes on to say one of those ways is by awakening within our leaders the need to make decrees to keep us separate. Precedent number one, Yaakov Avinu. The Yidden went down to Mitzrayim, the most cultivated society in that time. How is Yaakov Avinu going to make sure that we don't assimilate? He brings the Medrash that we are Mitzuyonim Sham. We say this by the Haggadah every year on Pesach. We did not change our begodim and we did not change our names. We had Yiddish clothing, we had Yiddish names that kept us separate. Secondly, what did Yaakov Avinu do? He made sure that Yosef swore to him that you bury me in Eretz Canaan. If Yaakov would have been buried in Eretz Mitzrayim and Yosef and all the Shvatim, Yidden would think this is our Makom Moilabtam. This is the place where we were born. This is our country. By being buried in Eretz Yisrael, that showed Klal Yisrael that you are just Gerim. Vayogar Sham. Yaakov Avinu came down to Mitzrayim just to live. The Yid's mentality in Galus has to be Vayogar Sham. I'm just there to live, to dwell, to wander until that time comes that we're able to go back to Eretz Yisrael with the Geula. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu does that, number one, to keep us safe in Galus. He puts in the minds of our leaders, Yaakov Avinu. Second example is Ezra. The Yud Ches Dar, there are special 18 degrees. The Mishnah Shabbos Daf Yud Gimel Beis discusses to keep the Yidden separate, to keep them distinct in Galus. So from a religious perspective, our Torah, the halach is kept in a pure form, as well as nationally, we keep our own identities. From the time the Yidden entered into this very long period of Galus, every Galus you've been in, Barabbas Hashem, the many years, no super intelligent genius, Jew or Gentile, could have predicted that we would be able to stay afloat. We would have our Jewish continuity with all that has befallen us. And now, eerily, the Meshech describes how the Hashgacha works in Galus. Here's the secret that will make the difference, all the difference in our lives now. Derech Hashgacha, what happens? What's the cycle? Ki anuchu Meshech shonim karav l'mei masayim Yidden have it great for 100 years, for 200 years. At some point, a big wind comes. The Yofetz Haman Galav, and the waves come. It destroys everything we have in the nation that we're staying in, we're hosted by, with no Rachmanis. It spreads us out everywhere by ourselves. Yarutzu, we run away. We escape to faraway lands, each one as individuals. What happens when we end up in a different land? Each family, each shattered family, each individual, we come together. We become a nation. We develop kihilos, communities again. Yugdal Taras, and the Torah grows. Chachmasim yasu chayil. Our chachma is our strength. Ad ki yishkach yoseger be'eretz nachri. Then we forget again that we're only geirim in an eretz nachri, in a foreign land. Yachshav kizem malka machtzavta. We think this is our place. Now we're here. No longer do we look forward to that salvation, that spiritual salvation from Hashem. What happens afterwards? Another wind comes, a stronger wind comes. And this strong wind that uproots us again yells, it screams at us. Yehudi ata, you're a Jew. Who gave you your success over here? Lech lecha el eretz shelo yadata. Go to a land that you don't know. And this is how the Jew maintains himself. The Jewish nation maintains itself in amongst the nations. For 2 reasons. L'kiyam hadas, to keep the religion, like we said, the halacha pure, and to keep the nation pure as well. And what happens, we grow in our Torah, that's what Hashem wants. The Meshech goes on to explain that he observes that every future generation, the children always want to outdo their parents. That's what children want to do. In Eretz Yisrael, without getting into all the details he lays out here, there are various mechanisms that the next generation is encouraged to be different within the confines of the Torah of Halacha. And there are certain mechanisms Hashem has to stop any rebellious change of the next generation. Because human nature is, the children always want to outdo the previous generation, the new generation. In Eretz Yisrael, when we have the Shechina, there are mechanisms that allow creativity, and there are mechanisms that stop rebellion. But in Chutz La'aretz, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in Chutz La'aretz. What happens there? They start to taina, the next generation starts to taina that sheker nachlu avosenu. They start to rebel against their elders, and they say, you've given us a false religion. All of a sudden, he forgets his Messiah's tradition, he becomes a citizen. He forgets his Jewish studies, he leaves his Jewish studies. To learn languages and subjects that are not his. Yachshav ki Berlin, hi Yerushalayim. Zakta Meshech Chochma. This Yid, that next generation thinks, the second generation thinks that Berlin is Yerushalayim. Rabbi Cooperman, who has the footnotes in this edition of the Meshech Chochma, the founder of the Michlala Women's College in Yerushalayim, he says that Berlin, the Meshech Chochma does not mean the physical Berlin, the physical Yerushalayim. Berlin means secular culture. Unfortunately, there are many Yidden in Yerushalayim who have a Berlin mentality. So they look to Berlin as that is the Yerushalayim, the secular culture is what we're going to embrace. That's what happens to the next generation. Zok the Meshech Chochma, Oz Yovaruach Soya v'Soyar. Then comes the big wind. Yaakar Oise Megizah. This is written before the Holocaust. Yaakar Oise Megizah Yanicheu L'Goyim Merachak. It sends them far away. A country where we don't know the language. Yedak Yuger. There we realize that we're Gerim. L'Shoinoi Sfas Kodshenu L'Shoinim Zorim Hemekulavush Yachaloi. Machtzavto Gezi Yisrael. Then the Jew is reminded that he's Jewish. His language is Lashon HaKodesh. Says the Meshech Chochma. And again, what happens? The generation that gets dispersed, they forget their Torah. The depths, the pilpul. They go to new land, they're able to rest, make a parnasa. Then the regesh of Torah is nis'or inside them. It's the children, the second generation now, has a lot of strength, and they make strength in Torah. The next generation spread Torah throughout the land. This is the Mahalach of Klal Yisrael. Since we began our Galus. Go look out and you'll see this is the case. We get to a land, we get too comfortable, we forget ourselves, we rebel against the previous generations. The wind comes and says, you're a Jew, spreads us into a faraway land. Torah is diminished, only to grow again in the next generation. Das ist Pshat. V'zeh loy mi'astim. Miusu al shiflos ha'um b'torah v'haskala haruchnius. Hashem says, even though when I throw you out of your current land, I'm not disgusted by your lack of knowledge. Or is my purging you from your current land to your next land, in order to destroy you, to annul my vow with you. No, I am Hashem your God. This tiltul, these afflictions, is a siba. It's because I am Hashem your God. We have to realize that we're in Galus, and this is not the be-all and end-all. We have to still yearn for the future. We have to make an end to the cycle. And Be'ezer Hashem, the next time that we leave our host country, it's not in the form of a ruach sa'ara, a wind that's going to disperse us into a different land. It's in the form of the kanfei nesharim, the wings of the eagle that will bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. That'll only happen if we realize and we maintain, we understand that we're guests in this land, and we are not. This is not the goal. We're still vayagar sham. We are just dwelling in the land. We should all be zoichet to internalize the Meshech Chochma's idea here and put an end to this cycle. And our next wind should bring us all to Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh with the Binyan Beis HaMikdash b'meheira v'yamin. Have a wonderful Shabbos.